Hello, my friends. Am I about to make a lot of people very, very upset? Okay, just hold on. Just hold your torches and your pitchforks because let's all just calm down for 1 second. Okay, obviously, I grew up in a different generation than most kids today. Most kids? Yes, all kids because I'm not. I grew up in a different generation than kids today, obviously, right? Fortnite has been a thing for a very long time, though. I remember when Fortnite came out. Oh, I know, I'm so old. I remember it. And my friends were so obsessed with it back in the day. And I was like, oh, yeah. And I played it with my friends for like a hot minute. Just like straight for like a week. I was all over that. I was like, yeah, we gotta shoot people. We gotta build stuff. And I remember my friends would call me like, let's play Fortnite. It's great. It's the greatest thing ever. And I also remember when Minecraft came out. That was a lot older. Minecraft's weird because I feel like it was so big back in the day, and then it like died out, and now it's like bigger than ever. You know, it's crazy. I don't know how or why that happened, but okay. I remember all these games came out, and even as a kid, and I don't really understand this, but even as a kid, I was kind of just like played it for like a week. And then I was over it. I was kind of like, no, I'm good. And maybe that's because when I was like really small, I loved like the single player story mode games. That was kind of my thing as a kid, which was weird because I had like a big family and, you know, we all loved video games mostly. But I just for some reason was drawn to the more like adventure video games, like the Nintendo Zeldas, the Marios. I like me some Mario Kart, but I also love 3D Mario, your Donkey Kongs, all those. I just loved playing through the games by myself, and maybe it kind of became sort of a safe place for me, where it was like, oh, I could play through this whole adventure and just go on this adventure, but I could be at home and it's my own thing, and just I loved it so much. But in today's world, it seems that a lot of kids are growing up with like 3 games, and that's like Minecraft, Roblox, and Fortnite. And that's not to say like those aren't bad games. I totally understand why people love them. It's not really my thing, but I totally understand why they can be so addicting and so many people just love playing these games. But the problem is, it's kind of become so big that every kid just cannot just play anything else. It's become so bad that it's like it's only Fortnite, and it makes me kind of sad. Like, what are we living in a world where it's just gonna be Fortnite and Minecraft in the future? You have your other side games. Like, of course, you got Nintendo. They're doing well, of course, but like Xbox is going out of business because they just can't make games anymore. Apparently, the PlayStation, they're doing fine, but like the problem is it takes them forever to make games. So now it's like we used to be getting games back to back to back to back in the 90s and like, the early 2000s. I know that sounds like I'm so old. I am. But they used to be coming out so quick and so fast, and so many people would be like, one week kids would be talking about one game and they play that for like a month, and then be like, oh, there's another game now, play this one. And then it was like back to back. But now it's just every kid I talk to, Minecraft or Fortnite. And it's been like that for the past few years. I'm like, kid, do you play anything else? And look, like I said, I'm not trying to bash on anyone who loves those games, because they are good games and I understand why people love them so much. But are we living in a time where the normal video games, where you just sit down with yourself, with a controller, is just kind of going away? And I know I'm sounding so much like, back in my day, but like, I guess it's come to that, washed out in my 20s, I suppose. But I hope, I guess I just wish that some kids would just try something else. Fortnite and Minecraft and like all these huge, big video games, like I said, understand why they're so popular, but they know how to take advantage of kids. They know how to take advantage of adults. They make it so like, it's like the whole corporate greed thing where it's like, oh, it's free to play, but then you play it and you have to pay for all these microtransactions. Oh, but it's only for a limited time, so you have to pay for it now. So it's so sad to me to see all this happening, because it's like, oh, well, back in my day, it was, this sounds so sad, bro, I know. But, like, back in my day, you had games just coming out, you buy the game, and that was it. And that sounds terrible. I know. I'm not trying to sound old here, but that's just really what's coming across. I guess my hope is that in the future, we would all start to, like, look around and be like, hey, what are we going to do about this? Are we going to actually continue to make good games for people, or are we just going to stick with the Fortnite? Are we going to stick with the Minecraft? And that's it. The free-to-play games, but then the microtransactions come in, and then, sorry, that's all I got for you, you know? It's sad. It's really sad to see, and honestly, looking at today's market, I feel like that's just the way it's all been going for so long, and video games are kind of dying out in a way. Not all of them, of course, but, like, you know, like I said, Xbox is struggling. PlayStation seems to be struggling a little bit. Nintendo's doing well for themselves, but, you know, even they're starting to, you know, get greedy with things and stuff. And eventually, it's just like, are we going to only play, you know, the digital games online, and you have to be connected to the internet to play with someone? What happened to the single-player experience that was honestly magical, you know? Like, Fortnite, it's like the same thing over and over again. You know, it's the same exact thing. Obviously, they make simple changes here and there, but, like, it's really just, you know, build and shoot and whatever. And like I said, it's fine, but having many games with many, like, story modes and single-player experiences makes, I feel like, gives you a whole different experience than just the Fortnites or the Minecraft. Because I guess Minecraft, you know, you could build whatever you want, so you could technically play it forever, right? That's cool and all, but there comes a point, it's like, okay, are people ever going to get sick of this? And I don't think, you know, it's like a whole new generation of kids are coming in. I was talking to one of my friends, and he's like, yeah, we grew up with Fortnite, and now, like, their kids love Fortnite. Like kids that just are super young. And it's like, okay, well, now it's a whole new generation, and it's just going to keep going and going and going and going and going, while all these other companies are struggling with trying to make games that are so big and better and overpriced budgets and stuff, and then they have to sell, like, tens of millions of copies just to break even. And so it's like, it's a kind of a video game crash, honestly. The online games, the online games are, like, just growing, and the single experience video games are just kind of dying out, and that makes me really sad. I know that this video I didn't mean to bum anyone out or make anyone seem like I'm just some old boomer, bro. I'm not. I'm in my 20s. That's not that old, right? But still, it's kind of this worry I've been having for a long time, and this fear that video games are kind of dying out, and it's going to be taken over by just those few online games that everyone will always love. But I don't know. I'm sorry to bum everyone out, but what do you guys think of this? Let me know down below in the comments. I would love to hear your thoughts. And, of course, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and we will see you all in the next one. Bye, guys.